The first game in the Evil Within series had some pretty interesting monsters, some of them taking very obvious inspiration from other horror games, and some of them being pretty new and original in their design. For me, creature design in horror games, or just games in general I guess, has always been one of the things that catches my eye and makes me want to play a new title, and it was no different for the Evil Within and the creatures that they put on display. So I thought it would be fun to give you a list of some of my favorite enemies that came at our throats in the first game in the Evil Within series. Keep in mind that this is my personal list, and as such, we'll probably have some pretty different selections that you may have, so feel free to leave yours in the comments below. With all that being said, let's start off with charging in at number 5 on this list is a creature that I doubt many people would even put on this list. In fact, if I hadn't been doing research into the various enemies for Who Is episodes, I may have overlooked this one myself. His appearance isn't very striking. He's basically a blood-covered giant with a droopy face that's been strapped to a big piece of wood. Not exactly the most stylish enemy, but still different. However, what I really find interesting about this enemy is the inspiration behind him. If you're familiar with the lore of the Evil Within, then you may know that Ruvik's father was quite devoted to the church where they lived, and as he was so devoted, he forced this religion onto his family as well, whether they liked it or not. And according to the creature's model description, this is a creature that was based on Ruvik's rejection of that aspect of his upbringing. And I like it mainly for that reason. It takes something from the backstory of Ruvik and applies it to this creature and gives it a deeper purpose. That being said, however, the pool of enemies in this game isn't that expansive, so he just barely ekes in at this spot due to there being no other creatures below him that I prefer. At number 4, we have a creature that has taken some pretty obvious inspiration from another source. The Keeper, or Boxhead, has a lot of similarities to another horror game icon that's been noticed a time or two before. However, to me, while he may be similar, the Keeper is still different enough in terms of design that it never really bothered me in the game, mainly because he has a very good reason for looking the way that he does. If you're unfamiliar with the Keeper, he's a creature created by Ruvik as a result of someone stealing research from his safe. This person being none other than Marcelo Jimenez, his former partner. This gives the beast not only a connection to Ruvik, but also a connection to Marcelo, as it's thanks to Marcelo that this creature seemingly came about in the first place. Besides his origin, however, his design, while memorable, isn't really that unique. He's just a humanoid with a box for a head. However, another thing that makes him memorable is his abilities. The Keeper is a creature that can only be taken down temporarily, with his ability allowing him to possess any other nearby safes in the area, which makes combat with him relatively pointless and makes him one of the more unstoppable forces that you can't really deal with. And for that reason, in conjunction with his origins, I give him this spot on the list. Laura is probably one of the most memorable enemies that you're going to face in the Evil Within. For one thing, you fight her several times, and for another, she's got one of the most creepy and distinct designs from all the other creatures. Although, truth be told, the creepy long-haired girl that crawls around in the shadows isn't exactly a new concept. However, that doesn't mean that she's not an interesting foe. I think what I like most about her is probably the brutality that she inflicts on you if you get too close to her. Of all the death animations that I remember from this game, for whatever reason, she's the one that sticks with me the most. Laura brutally smashing Sebastian's face in, completely shattering his skull, and then bending down to soak in the blood. I really don't even know what to say about it. It's insanely vicious, and I love it. She's also got one of the best introductions in the game, in my opinion. Just after a room where you've defeated several haunted, you'll come down a narrow hallway leading to a bright light shown over a corpse. Not that uncommon of a sight in this game, so you go in to see what's up, and Laura jumps out of the ground and gives you a nice jump scare. You have no idea how to handle her, and you don't even know what you're supposed to do. It's a great introduction in my opinion, and for that reason, she's taking the 3rd spot on this list. taking the second spot on this list is an enemy that may be kind of surprising to some of you, because unlike a lot of other enemies in this game, he's not really a reoccurring threat throughout the story. Instead, he's isolated to one location, and once you take him down, he's gone for good. That enemy being none other than the Quail. The reason that I like the Quail stems from two main things. Number one, I really like octopi. I think tentacles are cool, and I've always thought that enemies with these sorts of appendages are interesting, and the Quail is no exception. Number two, the Quail has, in my opinion, the best introduction in the game. You'll enter into the Quail's domain through some odd goo that you need to burn through. I assume this is some kind of thing that the Quail secretes in some fashion because it's all over this area, but regardless, this is your first sign of the beast. Once you're in the tunnel, you'll encounter alter egos, enemies that are a bit tougher than the standard haunted. And once you've progressed a bit through the tunnel, you'll notice something start to snatch these creatures away just before you face them. I don't know about you, but when I first saw this, I was excited for what this creature could be. To see a creature drag away these enemies with no effort just set up a really mysterious and fun location to play through. It's one of my favorite memories of the first game, and for that reason, the Quail grabs this second spot. Number one on this list goes to a creature that I don't even know how many of you will have seen if you only played the base version of the first game, because she is completely restricted to the first two DLCs for the game entitled The Assignment and The Consequence. The Shade is, however, my pick for the best enemy to come out of Beacon. I mean, just look at this thing. Design-wise, it's gotta be the most unique and creepy thing that you're going to encounter. But not only does it look like a nightmare, it also moves like a nightmare, it acts like a nightmare, it even talks like a nightmare. Overall, I would say that I prefer the base game to the DLCs. However, the first two DLCs were much scarier due to the lack of a gun, which was coupled with the fact that you had the creepiest monster around tracking you down and you had no way to fight back. It really brings up some tense situations when you've got to stay away from this creature while she stalks the same area that you're in. Shade's mission mirrors what Kidman was sent into the system to do, find Leslie, and she's not shy of letting you know what she's looking for. And while she may not be the toughest of foes to take down once you've got the means to do so, she's still the scariest and most different enemy that you're going to face inside of STEM, and for that reason, she takes the top spot on this list. Anyways, that's my top 5 list. What are yours? Be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll also say that I didn't really consider Ruvik for this list, as I don't really see him as a creature, or really being comparable to the others that are on this list, but if I would have considered him, then he would have probably been second or third. Same goes for the Administrator, he'd probably just eke out the Keeper and Trauma. But I just didn't really consider them because they're actual characters, rather than just being creatures. But I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more content like this in the future, and I hope to see you all in the next video.